everybody? My name is Harrison Wheeler, and welcome to another episode of Technically Speaking. My guest today is Melvin Hale, design leader and culture creator. I know, this is just kind of like your thing. I don't know if that's evolved over time. Would you still consider yourself the design leader and culture creator, or has that evolved?
Yeah, no, at first, let me say thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
I've loved listening to all the episodes. It's been fantastic. So I really appreciate being here.
thank you.
Certainly humbling. I have evolved a bit. I think, you could play it one way. I was Melvin the gray. Now I'm Melvin the white, the black, Melvin the black. Yeah, it's still a designer, but more of looking at it from the top down. Yeah.
What does that mean? How is that kind of, it's a shift, right? So like, what's the shift?
So for me, that shift has been there's two elements of it, both from a career perspective and another from a personal side. But from the career side, it's been more of the moving on from the fluid intelligence part, the idea of innovating quickly and through a whole bunch of ideas and just throwing them out there and just be really snappy with ideas.
Yeah.
That part I've done. I've been that person digging into that. And now I'm moving into that phase of crystallized intelligence where I don't have to rush really fast anymore. I'm getting older, so the skills are a little slower. But what I do
Yeah.
have is that wisdom that got me to this point. And so now I'm in that phase of more of this is what to expect when you get to this point. And I'm interested in seeing where I go next. But right now, what matters the most is this moment. And so that's the focus for me right now, has just been that. So understanding
Yeah.
where I am, I no longer have to be in this place of hustling. I no longer have to be in this place of grinding. Now it's an opportunity for me to experience joy on a much larger level, and then also take what I've learned to pass on to the next generation. Plant the seeds under which a shade of a tree I'll never see, but at least I'm doing the
Yeah.
right things and moving forward.
I mean, you never know. Tech and design moves real quick. So,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know a lot of folks definitely look up to you and you've inspired them. So that's not something to take lightly or not notice.
I do appreciate it. No, I certainly do. And, for the folks that have, stayed by my side along the way through this journey of rediscovery and the second phase of life that I've discovered for myself, I do appreciate it. Like you in general, and a whole lot of folks have been by my side, encouraged me to keep going.
Yeah. Hey, it's a part of what we do. It's the new iteration of Melvin.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Awesome. So look, I want to get into also like, some icebreaker
Hmm.
questions just to kind of get a little bit and get the audience a little bit more familiar with you. I always start off with this one question. What is something that you are currently obsessed with?
Oh, nice. I think the one thing would be credit, if I'm honest. I've been
Yeah.
obsessed with credit 'cause I'm trying to buy a house, and so that's the one thing that
Yeah.
my wife is like, You've done it. We're in the closing phase right now," and she's like, "Are you gonna stop
Yeah.
obsessing over this?" I'm like, "No, it's really I wanna see how far I can take this, What more can I do?
Yeah.
What more can I share with other people?" It's totally random, it is totally random, but yeah, everything about getting your points up, your credit utilization, that's something
Yeah.
I've been focused on for some random reason.
Buying points, like the whole concept, buying a house in credit is like one of the most stressful things. And
Yes.
no one prepares you for it, but then the people you're working with expect you to know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly. It's
It's
like, I
crazy.
don't but yeah,
It's
no, that
crazy.
part's been fun.
And then you're under the gun, right? Because it's competitive market and
Mhm.
you've got a time limit to make a pretty big financial decision. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm not obsessing over that anymore, but definitely when I was
Congratulations.
going through it,
Yeah.
it was a lot of cold sweats.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. The next icebreaker I have for you. We kind of touched on this a bit offline. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh, wow. It would be Japan, for sure. I
Yeah.
think, I had a chance to visit once, and the 2 odd weeks that we spent there was amazing. It was a chance to just reconnect with myself, the goals and dreams that I have, and then just being me. It was great. Like, I wasn't a black man in this country. I was just a guy and a
Yeah.
foreigner getting food. Like, that was it. It was it.
Yeah.
Just walking down the street, and so that felt nice. But yeah, anywhere in the world, that would be it. That's not just a wish, it is a goal. I intend to
Mhm.
retire there one day. I will do that. But yeah, one place. That'd be it for sure.
Is there anything in particular culturally that you love? Is it like, food, technology, design, like clothing,
Mm.
architecture? Like what's one of the standout things for you? Is it a bit of all of that?
I think a lot of those things are certainly a part of it.
Yeah.
I think one of the main things is just culturally, there is a balance between nature and man.
Mm,
And the part of the Japanese culture is that, it's the existence between both the relationship between man and nature and how those things work together.
mm,
And any harm to the land will cause harm to man, so taking care of the planet, taking care of one
mm.
another, living in harmony, even at times where you may want to break out and do something different, which sometimes are, though some could argue that could be a detriment, but at the same time, working together for the benefit of all to succeed is something that I've found amazing about the culture since I've learned about it,
Yeah,
as a young kid. It was just fascinating, and beyond just the fascination of the outputs of the culture, art,
yeah.
design, anime,
Mhm.
movies, into the mechanics of what makes Japan what it is, and so it's fascinating. I love the culture. I love the culture.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like a lot of that is aligned with your design ethos as well, right?
Yep.
So it's really great to kind of see those connect. All right. Last icebreaker. Okay.
Yep.
In 2 words, how would people describe you?
Oh, come on. Yeah, give me easier ones. Lovable asshole. Can I cuss? I don't know if I can cuss, but that's
Lovable asshole.
yes.
What is that? All I can think of is like the movie Ted with the teddy bear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, baby. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. It's more of a I'm Bender. Bender. Do you ever watch Futurama?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm Bender,
But
yeah.
that's the main character, right?
No, that's Fry. That's Fry. Bender's the robot,
Or is
and
it
he's
the
always talking
robot? The
smack and
robot, the
smoking.
robot. Oh, yes, yes.
There you go. That's me. Talking smack and smoking. But inside is a heart of gold,
Ah,
One episode that really stands out, and my kids swear this is me, is Bender adopts all these kids as a money scheme. And, he's like, I don't love these kids. I'm doing it all for the money." And later, at the end of the show, at the end of the episode, he has to give them all back to the orphanage, and so because he was just milking the system. Anyway, the whole point is, he's like, "Good riddance, I hate these kids." And so they drew him a picture, and he's like, "I hate you all." And he crumbled it up and threw it to the ground. They went off crying. And so after they left, he's like, "Are they gone?" Okay. He picked it up and he's looking at it, like, really sad. And they all come in there like, "Yeah, we love you, Bender." And he's like, I hate you all." And he's hugging them. They're like, my kids are like, "That's you, Dad. You're just this tough exterior, but you're just a lovable guy,
yeah,
man." And I think a lot of people would say that. I may come off intense at times, and the beard is a little bit scary, but Mel's a good guy, especially in the second
yeah,
journey of life. In the beginning, I could have been, if you met me earlier on, you might be like, "Yeah, that'd be still an asshole." But
yeah.
maybe now it's a little
Yeah,
different.
maybe kinda take us through that, like, tell us about who is Melvin Hale and what has that sort of evolution kind of been like from when you were younger to now?
It's funny you mentioned that. Melvin to now has been a character, if you will. I heard a quote one time a while back, and it was, Every man has two lives, and the second starts when he realizes he has just one."
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
more recently, I've been trying to find happiness for so long, right? Looking for this thing. It's the job, it's where I live, it's, oh, I have to get married, we've got to have kids. Where are we living? How much money do we have? Am I investing? What about the cars? I got to have these dope cars. I got to take trips.
Yeah.
I had been in search of happiness, and I was willing to do anything to get that. And so the one thing I started learning was happiness was and always has been in the present moment. What I was missing out on was joy, that deeper
Mhm.
connection. Happiness is an emotion, joy is everlasting. So I wasn't, in
Mm.
fact, chasing anything. I was just like an addiction. I was feeding on happiness, on the emotion.
Right.
That part I romanticized, and I turned myself into an object that I wanted to be, and I thought I wasn't doing it. I was only living on the emotion and just
Mm.
feeding that addiction. So happiness is personal, but joy is the gift. That is what keeps you going. And so in my hustle, I made a promise to myself: I will never sacrifice happiness. I will focus on manifesting joys. I will enjoy the solitude and the silence, like just focusing on me. I think
Yeah.
that's been the journey. So that's the beginning, right? So that's where Mail started from. If anybody knew the past, that's it. And then getting into this space now, it's just been more of, how do I lead? How do I grow? And getting to this point has been a journey in and of itself. It's been,
Yeah.
am I deviating off the topic? Because I'm making
No.
okay,
No.
okay.
No, you're fine.
I get the storytelling and monologuing, folks start sitting back like, okay, here we go.
It's all good.
But no, it has been that journey. And, it's been, Melvin now is someone who is thankful for everything that he has, everything that he did in the past, and everything that he has done to this point. I
Mm.
don't know if 30 minutes from now that will be the end, or if I've got another 20 years, but right now I'm thankful for being able to enjoy this moment right now with you. In the past, my mind would have been focused on all these dreams of the future and fantasies of
Mm.
what I could become, and those led me to those goals, but I was empty. There was
Yeah.
nothing there for me because I got too too far ahead of the thing, you know? I
Yeah.
don't know if you've ever played, like, any fantasy or role-playing games like Final Fantasy or of old, like Final Fantasy 7 and stuff like that. There's a process to follow in the game. You could certainly explore freely, but there is a process to follow to get the story going.
Sure.
You can get to certain elements like earning new weapons or abilities, but if you haven't done certain elements of the story, nothing's there. You can be as
Mm.
strong as you want to be. You can found another item in another place, but there's a part of this story that
Yeah.
you can't get to. This thing you can't get to until you understand the story. And so that's what I had been doing for so long. I'd been getting to these places and amazing jobs and opportunities. I'll just be 100 with
Right.
you. And, in some cases doing quite well, in other cases just being the wrecking ball.
Right.
And so now it's been more of this about face, Mel, realign, refocus. And that's been it. And so for folks that want to know, it's been a journey getting to this point. And I'm thankful for every step of the way. And as I said earlier, I'm thankful for folks like yourself and Kingsley Harris and a whole bunch of other people that stayed by my side that said, hey, I got you. I'm going to keep going. So Mel now is more of a person who's working with a startup right now and trying to put a pretty cool idea out to market. I've got my
Yeah.
sights set on entrepreneurship. I've got an idea in my head. I just got to get out. And so why not do it?
Yeah.
But that's Mel now. That's how I got to where I am. It took a lot of going the wrong way to
Yeah.
understand what was right, and now walking back is a. I'm telling a very long story, and I'm gonna say it in 10 seconds. You know the show Avatar: The Last
Yeah.
Airbender.
Yeah.
Great show, Cartoon Network, awesome. In the beginning, I watched that show, and I was like, I feel Aang, young, discovering his powers, trying to do all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's not really me. Maybe I'm more, what's the other kid's name? His friend. Anyway, the bumbling idiot. I'm more realizing I'm Zuko. I had a passion. I learned a thing early on in my life. I learned this is how love is. This is how business works. This is you do these things. You're aggressive and you're hungry. You're a lion. You tear it up. You do this stuff. And I did that. I was
Yeah.
the whirlwind. I was the tornado.
Yeah. So out of kind of like the story that you told me and sort of the realization for the listeners, like how were these things like, how would we sort of define those? Like, is this like just having like that hustler mentality by any means, trying to make that money? Is that sort of going from job to job, high profile company, career ladder? Is that sort of like where you were before? Because I know like those are very like prevalent themes in the Silicon Valley for many people that they're
Mhm.
chasing and aspiring to do. Is it something like that, you were kind of chasing and you weren't being fulfilled in that way?
100%. It was job, it was, who I was dating, it was
Mm.
what I was driving, it
Yeah.
was who I knew, it was what am I wearing? What is my title? Like
Right.
no one's telling me this. I'm telling myself this. I'm telling myself that's
Mm.
happiness. Get there and make that. I was a valet making like $12 an hour. Man, if you can make 20, you're gonna be happy. I started making
Right.
$20 an hour. You know what? If you would make you happy is if you're making 50 an hour. That'd be sick. I made 50 an hour. You know what make you happy if
Mm.
you make $100 an hour. That'd make you happy. I was making 100 an hour.
Mm.
To be happy is if you made 60,000 a year, 80,000, 120, 500,000 a year, you'd be happy. I did all that.
Yeah.
I did
Right.
all that. Happiness was not there. It wasn't.
Mm.
The jobs. I got there and I was happy in the moment. Elated, like, oh shit, I made it. I work at Google. I work at Facebook. I work at YouTube. I work at LinkedIn. Like, I've done
Yeah.
it. RGA, yeah, I'm balling.
Yeah.
I got there at the wrong time. I wasn't the person who I needed to be, nor did I understand the gravity of what I was assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and instead, I wasn't trying to build a relationship with the companies. Better way to look at it, I was being a mercenary and not a missionary. Boom.
Mm.
That's the problem. I was coming in there to kill it. Like, I'm gonna make something dope. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna cut, boom, boom, boom. I didn't come
Yeah.
in to bring the gospel. I didn't come in to heal and love and work with others and build
Mm.
something together. We weren't planting seeds. We weren't trying to
What
get
do you think what do you think that mindset came from? The mercenary mindset?
yeah, young. My father was a preacher.
Yeah.
He was also very well. I'm not gonna get into. I'm not gonna put my dad on blast. On he was a. We had black fathers. Like he was. My dad was a black father. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And which is not a diss on black father. Let me take that back. My dad was aggressive. I'm gonna just say that. Okay, my dad was tough. I learned to be tough from him. I saw
Mm.
what he got because of it. And it was fucked up, but he got what he wanted. And I was like, well, shit, maybe I could be a little nicer with being an asshole. And
Yeah.
that doesn't work. And so that's what it looked like. It looked like me being aggressive at jobs and pushing ideas. And sometimes they worked, sometimes they did it. But the power that I sought, I wielded it a jerk. I was given room to do great things and I did it wrong. Or I
Yeah.
wielded it incorrectly because I learned the wrong paths. But at the same
Mm.
time, I was also being rewarded or moved along. Like, yeah, okay, cool, cool. He feels like there's something there. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's and then it all came crashing down last year. That's
Mm,
the reality sunk in, and I'll never forget it. Like I'm not gonna mention the person's name, but they sat me down and they were like, "Look, you're spiraling.
mm,
You need to get help." And then there was more of the conversation. Then that was it. And so I had to start over. And so October of last year, I spent months and like resetting. It was. I mean, you want me to be 100? I mean, I don't know where we're going with this, but I could be 100, 100, or
yeah, no, it's fine. You can be 100.
all right. If you want to talk more corporate stuff, like we can talk about design, but maybe folks need
No,
to hear
no,
this.
this
Maybe
is
folks,
this is I mean, this is an important story in that journey. Like, there's
yeah.
so many, like, folks have so many different lenses to their
Mm.
journey. I think they're all important. And folks might be going through the same
Oh,
thing, right? Like,
hey, real talk. Let's go. All right. So yeah, that was in October last year, and I was lying to myself and others about taking therapy and getting help. I wasn't doing shit. To be
mm,
honest, I was a drunk and I was falling apart. And for the next 3 months, I just sat. I didn't do anything. Smoked and drank, and just didn't really do shit. And one day, it was just before winter break, and my daughter, I went off on my child, and I should not have, and I
mm,
felt terrible. I mean, I was like the hurt on her face. I was like, man, I
yeah,
was crushed. Crushed.
yeah,
And yeah, it was in Jan and then so winter break was hard. The kids
yeah,
enjoyed Christmas for sure, but it was hard just because I went off it was crazy. Anyway, come January, I was like, I gotta get my shit together. I gotta get my shit together. And then I
yeah.
was on Instagram, and there was this post, and I'm gonna just say this. You can tell me, well, you fix it in post. I'm gonna just say this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was telling myself, like, you need to get help, my nigga. Like, you gotta get help. And so
Mm.
there was a post on Instagram, and it said, every nigga deserves
Oh,
therapy.
yes. Yes. Yeah. I know what you're talking
Yep.
about.
I
Yeah.
I'd never heard of this, the content end and everything. I love so
Yeah.
I was like, "Boom, save, bookmark, follow, let's go."
Yeah. Yeah.
Called a therapist that day. I was like, "We gonna do this. We doing this, my nigga." Like, again,
Mm,
apologies, brother. I used the word around my friends, so apologies, but that's what I did. I got off Facebook, I deleted my account, I deleted my Instagram account, my original Meltron, thousands of followers, right? Facebook, done. Let it all go. LinkedIn Premium, I went back to the basic, like
yeah.
and that journey got me to where I am today. Even your listeners may not know this, and I'll tell them. Harrison and I had an interview prior to this, and my mind, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready because I was still on this journey,
Mm,
and I have come. I'm not saying I'm done. I am walking still, but every step is a new day, right? And so that's what it's been. It's been from that
mm,
time to now, just moving forward. You know,
yeah.
I know what the bottom looks like. I know what it looks like. And anybody going through it, I could tell you it is not, but just celebrate the moment. Just be here right now. If you're up, no job, struggling, addicted to a thing, well, give thanks you're here another day to get it right and struggle again. Like, just
Mm,
find something to anchor the hope onto and keep going. And that was my thing. I knew what the people I had hurt.
mm.
I'd finally come full circle to see who I truly was. Objectified version of this amazing, drives fancy cars, wears cool clothes, knows all this shit, has a great job. Melvin is not the
Everything on
person.
paper.
Everything
Amazing.
comparing. I don't know who that is. I don't
Yeah.
know who that is. I have no idea who this is.
Mm, hmm.
I don't.
Yeah.
Gotta
Yeah.
pick
It's
yourself up.
like it's like everything on paper is the dopamine high,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not lasting. And I'd imagine too, I mean, that moment with your daughter, everything on paper is there, but you know,
Didn't matter.
beyond that, it's empty, right?
Empty. It was crazy. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Was
I
there
should be
any
clear though.
part
Let me fix
oh,
one thing.
go ahead.
I should say child and not daughter. She keeps telling me, so she is my child. Her pronouns are
Okay.
they and y'all. So respect. So my child now,
Your
daughter at the
child.
time, but child now. Yeah.
Yeah, your child. So
Yeah.
I guess, like, is there any sort of, like, I don't know, is there things that you've learned that maybe for the listeners where people should be checking in, like looking back, were there moments where you're like, man, I should have checked in at this point in time, or I should talk to somebody, or maybe I'm drifting, like in what sense is that kind of showing up for you?
Mm. I would say right now that I heard someone say the other day that the older you get, you realize that the person you are today, the older person will tell you the little person, the little picture you're in. There's a bigger picture out there, so don't worry about this small one. I saw a lady say this on Instagram a while back, and that's what I'll say to folks. In your moment of tribulation, when you're listen to me sound like a preacher, when you're struggling, when you feel that moment of doubt and downness, remember the words that you say you hear too. So if you
Hmm.
say I shouldn't have done that, well, now you're blaming yourself. You are getting on yourself. When you say, damn, I fucked up, what, oh sorry, you're talking to you. Remember
Hmm.
that. At least start there. Say,
Yeah.
fumbled this time, I can get it the next time. Remind yourself this is just a step. This is just a process. As
Right.
kids, we were never taught what was right and wrong. We just discovered and then
Right.
realized, oh, that's spiky. Can't touch. Mm-mm. It is cool though. It is cool. You weren't a
Mm,
failure because you touched it. You just, messed up.
mm,
You might touch it again. That is my message to folks.
mm.
As you are on this journey, know that today is just today. There will be another day,
Right.
and whatever you are in, it's just one, not even a step, just a hustle forward, a thought forward, but put action into the thing. But the
Yeah.
very smallest thing that you can do is talk up yourself, not better
Mm,
than, not greater than, just reminder. Just a reminder that you're great. That's my message. That's what I had to do because I wasn't doing that. I
yeah.
would get up at 5:30 every morning and I would get online and I would check Instagram, I'd check LinkedIn, I'd check Facebook. I go through all the norms, like just consuming myself. I wake up at 5:30
Right.
every day. This is not an exaggeration. I would just go through doom scrolling for hours and then get up and get washed up and go through the day. Like all that craziness is in my mind now. That
Mm,
weight.
yes.
Just mm. So
It's a lot.
it is
It's a
a
lot.
lot. Why
It's a
do I need
lot.
news 24 hours? Why do I need to know what everybody's doing all the time? I don't need to know. That's right, guys. It's a lot. It's too much.
Yeah.
So I turned
Yeah.
it all off. I got off of everything. I have no news apps on my device. I don't get updates on unless it's like a national emergency, like a earthquake or a tornado, but I
Yeah.
have nothing. My mornings start I don't even know if I should get into all this, but like that my days are different now. My focus is different now.
Sure.
I'm far more into the present than I am in what my past was or what my future might be. It's today right now I'm building.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I'm taking out of that is like give yourself the grace, right? You don't have to be perfect, and you should question sometimes maybe why you have that mindset. But I'm with you. I feel like earlier when I was younger, I realized that I had this concept in my head, right? But for every light bulb that you turn on, you have to turn off. And so, starting the morning early with all of these things pinging your mind makes it a lot harder to focus on you and be in the moment. And so I'm not perfect, but I think like sometimes I am able to kind of check in and be like, yo, there's way too much stimulation happening right now.
Mhm.
Do I really need to be on Instagram? The news thing is very toxic for me. I used to wake up, that was the first thing I consumed. And I think before it was okay.
Yep.
Like in the days of RSS readers and you were
Mhm.
getting like, scholarly articles and real reporting, I think that made a lot of sense because
Yeah.
it was good to be in the know. But I think now so many things are sensationalized.
That's right.
I think also sometimes I like, with designers early in their career, I tell them not to necessarily hop on Twitter as the first thing that they look at because everyone has an opinion. And ultimately, the decision comes down to you as an individual.
Mhm.
And so listening to so many people can make it hard to figure out what direction to go in.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think those are, you know, that advice speaks volumes and obviously in so many different contexts for people wherever they are in
Mhm.
their career, wherever they are in their journey. So I appreciate you kind of sharing that with us. I think like one thing I wanted to touch on is, we were kind of talking about affirmations, and I think you had one that was around like hell yeah.
Yep.
Is that something that you still do? And sort of like what was the importance of that? Because I think like, we think about like in clothing, it's all affirmations for black males,
Yep.
like, which I think is important, right? I think there isn't enough of that, especially for us in this industry. There's not many of us, and a lot of times we are the only.
Yep.
And so I think like affirmations are really, really important. And I think to have those sources of that are very instrumental. So maybe kind of take us through that.
Sure. For the listeners, there was a time every morning I would say, just, silently to myself, hell yeah, you got this. That's it. I would let the challenges of the world consume my mind. After spending a ton of time on Instagram, feeding the anxiety, I would just tell myself, hell yeah, you got this. And then get up and go. That mantra has turned into action and less of a statement and more of a,
Mm,
and less of a mental thing, but more of an action statement. Hell yeah. So that means do the thing. It means say the right words. It means apologize. It means ask for help. It means get up early. It means exercise. It means eat healthier. Hell yeah is not just a thing to just say. It's a do. It's an action. Make that a thing. Yeah, I
Mm,
mentioned earlier, I get up all the time. Now, every morning, I'm up no later than 5:30. I'm downstairs, get the coffee and water going. I'll be 100. I roll a J real quick, go outside, drink, smoke, read, and watch neighbors walk by. By 7:30, I've got the dog. We go for a walk, and then I'm just chilling from 8:20 till the kids get up, and then before
mm,
work starts. That has been my routine. That's hell yeah. Like that part. It's clear the
mm,
mind. The fog is there. You woke up. You were given life for a new day. Do it right. Treat your body right. Get some water in you. Walk, move it, wake it up, celebrate it. Now give that
mm.
joy to other people today. You know,
Yeah,
that's it. That's what it looks like for me. You know, that's hell yeah. It's the embodiment of continuing to move forward. Doesn't mean being perfect. It's means growth. Practice makes getting it right. It means understanding. It doesn't make perfect. Progress. That's
yeah,
all it is. It's just progress. I'm trying to move forward. And when I stop, I hope what people take from what they've learned of me and the things I've done, they keep moving that forward. It's all
yeah,
good. In the moment, man. In the moment.
yeah.
100%.
I love it. I love it. So let's kind of go to sort of like the last area of the conversation. I don't know if you're okay to plug it, but maybe kind of tell us, is it, are you still in stealth mode with your startup?
Yeah, we're still in stealth mode.
Ah, okay. Well, I was gonna say, what are you working on? Ah,
It's launching soon. It's a food related app.
okay.
This is me sounding all businessy food related. It's a food app, a social food app, and the goal being for foodies like myself and hopefully you maybe as well and others. We want to put emphasis on that as a stream, as a vertical, as a niche of
Mm,
creative content creators to focus on the celebration of and cooking food together.
yeah,
Maybe as a means of spreading the joy of food and working with what you got or experimentation. Doing that as a global community could be fun, and so we're putting something like that together. It's gonna be dope.
yeah. Awesome. Like how did you get to this point where you were like, I want to do a startup after taking the break, specifically even in this vertical? Like maybe how did you evolve into that?
Sure. No, that's a great question, and it actually would lead into one of the things I would tell people to do if they were to get into design or in this industry is build something. Start with the big picture. Understand how it works. Understand why you're doing what you're doing. That part first. And as a designer, that might be confusing to hear. Like, well, I want to start my design career, so you're saying I shouldn't go to some of these big places. Yeah, I am saying that. I'm saying you should go to a startup. Learn the
Yeah.
business as a designer. Learn the business. Certainly, master the craft. Innovate. You'll have plenty of
Yeah.
room to do that at a startup. You'll have an opportunity to get it wrong at a startup.
Mm,
Hopefully not a whole lot, but you'll have room to make quick and fast mistakes. That's what you want. Perfect the
yeah.
craft, build something that you enjoy and take on the big guys.
Yeah. What are the types of skills, or you're kind of talking about learning the business? Like, what are the types of things that, if a designer was to do that, what are areas that they get
Yeah,
involved in or that you have to know to be successful?
right.
Because I would almost say to be successful at a startup versus a large company require a few different skill sets. So, like, what would that look like?
I'm here to dispel that myth. It doesn't require
Okay.
anything. It does not
Okay.
require anything. You don't have to have a business degree to start a company. You don't need my child's friend at school has a cookie business. And she makes cookies. I don't know if she makes them legit or not, but my child says they are. Sorry, I keep messing
Yeah.
it up. They will appreciate that I'm trying my best.
Yeah.
Um, the cookies are made from home, and she sells them at school to the kids. That is fucking that you don't no business degree. 16 years old, 15 years old,
Yeah.
and children make orders. She makes a batch of cookies, like legit cookies, like chocolate chip, or she like sprinkles or unicorns on them. Like just makes cookies. You don't
Yeah.
need a business degree, people. You don't need it. You just need to do it. Yes, it
Mm,
will be hard to bootstrap it. Yes, it will be difficult to get it funded. Okay, it doesn't have to be $1 million company. Just learn how to run a business. Be satisfied with
right.
doing something on your own. You don't need to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. You just need to be satisfied with what you do in life. That's it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I personally, that's what I was answering the question of why choosing a startup. That's why I chose a startup. I want to start small. I want to understand more of the business and not even that, but just take the knowledge I currently have and use it in that space to grow something big. I love working in that space from 0 to 1. I love that.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to stay here for a little while and do more of that. And eventually, hopefully soon, be an entrepreneur, start a company, offer what I think could be a good solution to X. And if two people like it, I will be super happy and I'll build the best product for those two people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Melvin, thank you so much for this conversation. We're going to wrap up soon, but I know you dropped a lot of just, gems like earlier on, but is there any like last thought you want to leave to the listeners before we log out?
I thought about that for a minute, and I think There's and not to get old school, but there's this old Negro spiritual. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Oh, you went real old
Oh,
school.
I'm going. I'm going there. It's about to happen. And it starts off, though you may not drive a great big Cadillac, gangsta white walls, TV antennas in the back.
Back.
You may not have a car at all, but remember, brothers and sisters, you can still stand tall.
There we
Just be
go.
thankful for what you got.
There we go.
There it is. We're gonna end on that.
All right. That was great. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Always a pleasure catching up with you. And yeah, it's a wrap, man.
Awesome. It's great, man. I really appreciate it.